that was an astonishingly quick transition. But again, we're moving like a Swiss watch here as we're in the home stretch of EE-Times live coverage from Embedded Systems Conference 2011 in San Jose, California. I'm Brian Fuller, as you just saw, editorial director of EE Life. And our next guest, I'm not going to get to just for a second. I just want you to take a little glance at this because there's going to be a quiz at the end of this segment. And maybe we'll give it away. If anybody's out there on Chatland, I know there's SG Tech from Argentina is out there, and Mr. Squirrel's out there as well. But we'll ask the quiz at the end of the segment. But first, we're going to get to our guest, Derek Carlson, Senior Vice President from Microchip, who is going to talk about, there we go, is going to talk about a very cool new ambitious IDE that you guys have, an open source IDE, which is pushing the boundaries. That must have been a little nerve-wracking to go the open source route. Tell us about it.
Well, it's actually been a really exciting project to work on. What we're talking about is the MPLAB IDE, which is our next generation development environment for all of the PIC microcontroller devices. We provide a universal IDE for more than 800 microcontrollers, digital signal controllers, memory products, all in the context of one IDE, even at our version 8. You're right, we decided that we wanted to do our next generation IDE, try to add some of the features into the development environment that engineers are interested in these days, and it turned out that our choice of platform for our next development was an open source project called NetBeans.
NetBeans, I've heard of that.
NetBeans is one of several Java workstation development environments that can be repurposed for embedded development, sort of a kindred spirit to Eclipse and other projects. It has a corporate sponsorship with used to be Sun Microsystems, and now it's with Oracle. And we have a great relationship with the committee that manages NetBeans, and as well as the developers who've worked with us to add some of the key features that we need to have for embedded control.
So I might have missed this, and you might have said this earlier, but does the IDE span multiple product lines, or is it just focused on one or two Microchip lines?
No, it's truly universal for us. All the way from 8-bit microcontrollers, 16-bit microcontrollers, 16-bit digital signal controllers, the 32-bit family, as well as a few memory devices.
So, so open source, why open source, or is it just the fact that it happened to coincide with this NetBeans development?
Open source is important from a couple different reasons. A lot of people are interested in open source because it's free as in beer, and they can leverage what the community is doing for their needs. The other part of it is free as in freedom, because they really believe that as a project, software should be shared, and we're sort of in it from both angles. When we did our evaluation to be able to support things like a Mac operating system, a Linux operating system, and how do you get there, one of the things you can do is look at some of the open source projects that can help you step there faster. So we've done that. But also, we've added things to the system, that we can share back with the open source community. And some of the stuff is, so Microchip centric that it's not necessarily interesting to the open source community. So, things that control the devices, the information about the devices themselves, those things are things that we can add to it later.
So this is the first time that you guys have waded, if you will, into the open source pool, and I can imagine that early discussions among the engineering staff were somewhat contentious about whether to do it or not.
Well, engineers are skeptical by nature, and they're kind of a show-me crowd. Maybe they all come from Missouri. But at any rate, we did a lot of research about the different ways that we could go. With MPLAB 8, we have a huge legacy. There's lots of development projects that are already going on out there. So how do you protect those people? How how do we add the complexity of an entire product line of more than 800 devices and make it scale well. So the engineers did a lot of work and evaluation, and I think ultimately they came on board with the concept of going with the open source project because of all the benefits that it allows. And like I say, they're now very interested in being able to contribute back the things that we can, and to help advance the art a little bit.
So if you had to put a value on the free value of open source versus the flexibility value, would it be about 50-50? No, well, not so much flexibility, but evolutionary capability, if you will, by the community. Would it be 50-50, or is free higher? Or?
Well, they talk about that hive effect, right? Where you get many bees working in the hive that can make the hive grow faster, and so there's certainly leverage that comes with participating in a project like that. And but it comes with some trade-offs because there is a community of people that have a lot of responsibility to offer their ideas and their opinions. So we found the NetBeans community in particular to be very flexible and very open for us. And it's also, I think if I can get to your other point, has allowed us to focus on the things that Microchip does well. We know embedded design, we know embedded tools and emulator systems and in-circuit debuggers, and how to adequately represent those devices while you're debugging them. In some of those open source projects, they know how to do project management, they know how to do a decent job with an editor, and those are things that that community brings together. So if you take the two and add them up, then the sum is truly greater than the individual parts.
Wow. So exciting stuff from Microchip, first ever open source IDE just announced. So that's very cool. And now we're going to end with the trivia question, which is everything's
Home Shopping Network.
There we go. Home Shopping Network. This baby is a Logitech Harmony 300i universal remote. And there's a reason that we're holding it up here on this particular segment. Tell me what this reason is. Brian.fuller@ubm.com.
It's a universal remote.
And maybe I'll send it to you. That'd be cool, huh? Anyway, Derek Carlson, you've been a prince for coming by.
Thank you.
Congratulations, and thanks for your time. That camera. I'll get it by the end of the day. So we're going to take another break. We're going to come up with our next guest from Element 14. 2-minute break. Be right back. Thanks for watching.